thanks everybody for being here. I'm Marina Kakash, as Lucia was saying. I'm part of the Acting Consortium, and I'm from Knowledge and Innovation, which is an independent social research association based in Italy, in Rome. And today we are presenting one of the fact sheets of the Acting project. This one is called Inclusive Civil Society for an Inclusive Green Deal. And it collects recommendations that for once are addressing civil society organizations, not policymakers, to mitigate the negative impacts of the Green Deal policies. And you can see the authors of this fact sheet on the slide. And what I can say is that it is the result of multiple strands of activities within acting, so research activities, but also co-creation, consultation, participatory activities. Yes, if I can change, yes. The recommendations focus around the great potential of civil society organization for the Green Deal, for managing environmental transitions, but also how to actualize this potential even more fully, also addressing a few challenges. And because, of course, civil society organizations do play a key role in in managing environmental transitions, in supporting Green Deal policies, etc., because they hold expertise both in climate change, sustainability-related issues, but also in social justice, sustainable development issues, so they can bridge these two, because they work on the ground, they work locally, they work in solidarity with local communities, they work sometimes with and for vulnerable segments of the population. Sometimes they are themselves expression of these parts of the population. And this makes them, in a sense, more legitimate to the public. So they enjoy more public trust than governments, corporations, of course, and the media. And this legitimacy is particularly important when it comes to environmental governance, because as we know, this might be a very controversial issue. On the challenging side, however, not all civil society organizations have fully embedded democratic legitimacy and diversity in direction and governance. And this, of course, is important for the Green Deal to be inclusive. Civil society organizations also need to be fully inclusive and reflect the diversity of the population and stakeholders. Coming to some findings that come from the Acting project. First of all, we did a review of BUIs, that is bottom-up initiatives, and we mapped almost 700 bottom-up initiatives initiatives, yes, from the bottom up, and particularly addressing green transitions in 34 countries, mostly European countries, but even some others like the USA, Brazil, Japan, and others, in 5 Green Deal areas that you see on the slide. And in terms of who are the promoters of these initiatives, we see that it's variable combinations of different kinds of civil society organizations, so community-based organizations, associations and NGOs, micro small businesses, many of them social cooperatives, but then also local authorities and to a lesser extent universities and research centers, etc. And also we have seen how many vulnerability profiles are addressed in these actions. So together with environmental actions, also a specific focus on factors like income, most often, geographical location, and this particularly for climate action and biodiversity areas of intervention, but also age, ethnic origin, little bit less so sex and gender, disability, and other potential backgrounds of vulnerability. On the other hand, intersectional approaches connected to environmental actions are not so widespread, meaning that often these initiatives focus 1 or maybe 2 grounds of potential vulnerability, but not much more than that. And this could be an area, of improvement, considering how complex environmental issues are and how complex are people's experiences with it, depending on who they are. Still, on the other hand, even though these initiatives are worked in cooperation by different actors. Only half worked in a framework of real cooperation, shared leadership, shared responsibility with other social actors in the fields. And only a quarter were able to engage really with local authorities, which is also an important point. But besides the analysis of the bottom-up initiatives, we also went through collected more than 400 individual narratives from people with different kind of vulnerability profiles, specifically about their experiences with climate change and environmental policies. What we were mostly interested in was what supports the adoption of more conscious, more sustainability-oriented daily behaviors and practice for people, for people in their daily lives. And the answer now here is complex, of course, cannot go through the results in detail. I just want to point out 3 points. We analyzed factors that might affect decisions of people in terms of at the individual level, social level, and then structural level. At the individual level, one thing that was really standing out is how much knowledge, being able to access reliable knowledge from sources people trust, was really relevant, was one of the factors that was connected to making a decision of changing or trying and become more sustainable, even personally. These other personal resources being equal was a difference. Another one in terms of social dynamics, and this is maybe the most important of it. So belonging to a community where social values and practices are widespread. And this also mediates the importance of structural conditions, which of course are important, enabling policies, existing infrastructure. Still, social dynamics, in a sense, orientated how much these eventually positive structural conditions were able to make an impact in decision about how to change one's behavior. So from this, it emerges how civil organizations are really key enablers of change, because indeed they can provide easily accessible information on the why and the how change behavior, sustain practically individual and collective sustainable behavior, promote new social norms, and they are also able to build communities around this, which we understand is so important to really support change. On the other hand, civil society can only bridge individual experiences to decision makers. So they are the bridge with policy and policy negotiations. Also, it is important that this potential of civil society and the social dynamics part of change cuts across all areas. It is important in all areas, while, for instance, other factors like the existing infrastructures maybe are more important just for some, like, I don't know, mobility. Instead, the importance of the community revealed crucial in all accounts, in most accounts of those who really testified that they were encouraged to adopt more sustainable behavior. So there's this progression from individual, collective, and community level support up to promoting new social norms at societal level. But how to promote, to support civil society organization to even more fully play a role into inclusive environmental transitions? Here in the fact sheet, it is reported how some points are really key to this, to really potentiate this role, like this focus on intersectionality and linking different causes. So we have seen people, for instance, among our narratives, micro, small entrepreneurs promoting sustainable products, like in a case which is also in the fact sheet, bags produced with natural materials and recycled materials, but also employing people that, like the entrepreneur, were people with disabilities and with a strong gendered approach. So we see how intersectionality and linking different causes of the environment and social causes really has a very big potential in terms of change, even at collective level. And this allows also making vulnerable voices heard, which is what makes it possible to generate inclusive policy alternatives, which may be more legitimate and more positively received by society. While on the other hand, creating a sense of belonging and contributing to that community, which is the mediation for people to really get into the sustainability perspective. So from here, I just go straight, because I'm almost out of time, to the recommendations. And you find 8 recommendations for civil society organization in the fact sheet. I divided them into 4 blocks, into 2 blocks. The first 4 about inclusivity and diversity. So these are really addressing the organization, its leadership, action, and agenda. First of all, the internal agenda of the organization, really putting high in this agenda intersectional inequalities, exposing intersectional inequalities, that is making power differential visible, even in the civil society arena, because there are these differences. And having made that step, it is important to redesign leadership, membership, and representation structure, having inclusivity and diversity in mind. So also take a critical stance, a critical approach on how the organization is actually represented. Having said this, then the activities, and here following the motto, nothing about them without them. So when you work with and for vulnerable people, etc., you have them. You really need to have them also work in the design, implementation, ideation of activities to really assure that they are inclusive, that they represent different perspectives, different needs. Of course, you also need to look for diversified expertise to be able to link the social, economic, and environmental issues and support that holistic approaches that we were mentioning before. But then we get to the second block, and this is about the connections of civil society actors. So how it is important to really join forces and first of all establish solidarity networks with less resourceful civil society actors, because in this way the whole civil society system is strengthened and you have more actors that are able, you bring to the fore new voices and give them strength. And also when collaborating with local communities through empowerment, through capacity building, mentorship, really supporting them to strengthen up to the point of being able to express direct activism and advocacy in their own voice. Then when it comes to more powerful actors, that's the other side of the key role of civil society organization, that is making the bridge with donor organizations and local institutions and offering vulnerable communities a platform to voice their needs, while also engaging with the private sector, that is providing, again, awareness, capacity building on discrimination in their own workplace, but then also on climate change and human rights and eco-friendly policies in what they do, through examples, through support of different kinds. I would stop here. The recommendation, yes, Lucia has shared it in the chat. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to our discussion.
Thank you so much, Marina. Really nicely presented, very clear. Sila, do you want to go next? And then we take questions together at the end, both from Marina and Sila. Comments, reflections, anything.
Okay,
go
are
ahead.
You able to see my slides?
Yes, very well.
Okay, so hi, I'm Sila. Today I'm representing Group Co-Living as a civil society representative in this meeting too. So Roof Co-Living is a space-based organization in Turkey. So we are working on spatial justice and public spaces and how they are co-created with the participation of the citizens to have a just transition towards a sustainable future. So I will mention our works later on. But first, I want to mention how findings from acting resonates with us and our activities. So first of all, in acting's document, it was saying like non-governmental organizations play a key role in the formation and implementation of European Green Deal policies. And I guess we are a kind of, as a civil society, we are holding an expertise in climate change environmental issues, social justice, and sustainable development issues. And we are aiming to work from the ground, as Marina also mentioned. So it's mainly a bottom-up engagement and encouraging people to take actions collectively. So we are resonating with that quotation as our social sustainability focused and spatial justice focused activities. So we are especially trying to focus on social justice with vulnerable groups like LGBTQ plus people, or we worked with people who affected from earthquake that struck Turkey and Syria. But it's important for us to not representing their voice as roof co-living. Rather, we try to create a space, a safe space for them to communicate their demands, decisions, and interest in public space through design methods. But they are, of course, participatory design methods. About acting quotations again. Not all NGOs have successfully embedded democratic legitimacy in their organizations and actions. So for the Green Deal to be just and inclusive, it is crucial for civil society organizations to be inclusive, they said. And I consider like what is our position in here then. So we are basically creating a bridge and dialogue environment for citizens to speak up and increase their awareness to the relationship between social policies and their lived environments and climate crisis, and why is the reason that our lived environments are rapidly changing and how this is affecting our experiences and daily lives, how it is shrinking our social space, especially if we are as in a part of a vulnerable group. So non-governmental organizations plays a key role, as it's commonly stated before too, since we are kind of like engaging bottom up. So as roof co-living, we are also considering our own structure when we are working. So all of us are volunteers in here for many years. So we don't have any hierarchy between us. We are learning from each other and learning together to expand our knowledge around some practical skills that might help us, like project writing, grant writing for our activities, or sometimes we want to learn more about social design or sustainability, and we are teaching each other and learning from each other. And we always trust each other's expertise and personal experiences too, because for us, what is personal is also our topic in our case. When we are organizing our activities, there is no hierarchy between the facilitator, citizen, and the municipality representative in our program. But even though like the process is non-hierarchical, the municipality has a decisive role, especially in logistical decisions, due to the restrictions imposed by the regulations of different departments in the municipality. But we have not had any problems with this so far. And we are organizing participatory cities programs, and sometimes we are having an open call for people to apply, and sometimes we have a limited budget for those co-design processes, and this is the reasons for the having an open call. And in that case, if two applicants has equal qualities. We try to prioritize the applications of women or LGBTQ plus people, or people with disabilities, or people who are living in the surrounding area that we are going to co-design. So these are some kind of important things for us to be more inclusive in our own organization too. And there was a quotation in Acting's analysis. We always try to build a sense of community belonging, because we are also believing if we want to change something, we need a community. We need to act collectively. Of course, individual actions are so valuable too, but if you have your people, like your community to support you, if you are feeling that belonging, then you can grow in that community and like discover what are you capable of to achieve for just transition. So this is the graph from Again Acting, and the engagement in social relationships and the creation of a sense of community and collectiveness in order to support and achieve behavioral change, they said. And I guess roof calling is mainly positioned in collective support, community building, and creating awareness in order to boost behavioral change in our community. So maybe not so much individual support and promoting new social norms are existing currently in our own organizations. We, of course, try to increase awareness around just transition or climate crisis and how it is affecting us in the given context or the context or city neighborhood we are working together. We try to understand the dynamics in there. And you can see some of our works. This work was funded by ICLEI, and this was our very first face-to-face activities, because we just established roof co-living with the beginning of COVID. That's why having those face-to-face interactions was really helpful for us to sustain ourselves too. And we focused on working with youth mainly, because it's really economically in a disadvantaged position in Turkey. I know like youth working with youth population is not maybe considered so much as a disadvantaged people, but because of the economical fluctuations, somehow youths are really in a not good conditions. That's why we are prioritizing working with them. But we realized that with the previous project, this one, we only work with the young people and not maybe the community that much as we aim. And for the next one, we again try to emerge the culture and cinema with the sustainability issue to foster a discussion between the community in Adana. So Adana Büyükşehir, Adana municipality helped us with that organization, and we were able to have some kids and some elderly, some mixed population in here. And this was also after the earthquake, so the project didn't start because of the earthquake and like fostered well-being after earthquake, but it somehow evolved to have some cultural activities after the earthquake to heal a bit. And this work is in Hatay, an area struck by the earthquake, Samanda women living area. This was only a concept design support from roof co-living to the people who want to establish a woman place in there. and we recommend some things. But I needed to say, in order to be more inclusive, we need to improve our experiences or knowledge in psychology too, because our lack of experience in psychology, or maybe the communication might maybe affected the process a bit, because people need to be more fast and immediately want to apply this design. But our capacity was too low to achieve it in a faster way. So it was a bit slow in our side because of our capacity weaknesses. And for us, our works as roof column, we focused on the right to the housing too. So housing rights are quite important for us, as you can call from our name. So we discussed how LGBTQ plus people in Turkey experienced the recent housing crisis with the people who are representing the associations of LGBTQ plus people. And for Tamirhane, we finally achieved to include everyone from many ages, many diverse socioeconomical backgrounds. So this was basically our project, and how we work as a civil society to improve our inclusivity. And I mentioned some of the challenges. And how I want to mention how we resonate with the policy recommendations. So you can see we are doing some things about inclusivity and diversity, and we are trying to build some connections in referring to acting's recommendation list. But we have some things to improve, many things we need to improve. But for instance, for this look for diversified expertise part, we need to get outside expertise for roof co-living. So it's a reverse recommendation, maybe, in our perspective. So we need that. Maybe we cannot provide it. So yeah, and I also listed the things that we need to work on, and it's mainly about the connections that we should really need it to work on, and sometimes maybe need an outside consulting. So yeah, that's it from me. I know it's a bit longer than the other presentation, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Sila. That was great.